Hey Aries, welcome to your February reading. I'm going to shuffle and jump straight in, but I do have to put my mic down to shuffle because I need two hands and I have to hold it like this the entire time. So please be patient while I just shuffle and lay out your cards. Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, let's have a look. Okay, so we start off with Raised by Wolves. You belong. So this card is saying, like, where you are today is exactly where you're supposed to be. So think of the situations that you're going through, right? It could be hard, it could be fun, it could be like, where am I going? There's a reason for that. And this is saying you belong here, and there's space here for you. There's something here for you to learn. Now, with this card, as I read it, if you look at the imagery, she has leaves in her hair. They're kind of autumnal leaves. And I kind of feel like with this card, she comes with like this strength of the things that she's been through to get her to this space. So if you have any challenging times recently, sorry about that noise. My son is, obviously the kids are home, and he's banging his car against the door by the sounds of it. Readies! No banging. Sorry, guys. So these leaves, it's like there's things from the past that you're bringing with you that stay with you. But I feel as though you need to acknowledge that they're in the past and they do not apply to who you are today. They've just helped pave the way to who you are today. And I feel like saying to you guys, actually, it's time for you to shift and change into this present sense. I feel as though you may be holding on to kind of values or something that's in a past tense. And actually this is bringing me back to like earlier last year. I feel like I said something similar, and it feels as though this is coming back around. And that's what happens if we do not acknowledge or change and shift the things that need to be shifted from us. The patterns repeat themselves. And I feel like I'm saying this to you again, Aries, that the values that you hold on so tightly that don't resonate with who you are today and that hold you back and stop you from making moves, making changes, or really evolving into, because we're constantly evolving. If you're not allowing yourself to do that, and you're holding on to something that doesn't resonate with you now, it can cause, toxic things within your lives, or just, stagnant energy that we don't want. So be aware if you have any of that, or if you can feel this, it'll feel uncomfortable. I feel as though when there's something that doesn't sit right with us anymore, but we wear it as though it does, you get into this uncomfortable state. And I feel that a little bit here for you, Aries. Can you guys please help stop Rooney from banging, please? Thank you. Sorry, Aries, we're going to have some interruptions, I think. Again, with this card, though, I do feel as though you have your pack. Now, I feel like this actually is another thing holding you back. It's weird because this is not how I typically read this card, but I feel as though your comforts, the life that you had built for yourself, that I feel like needs to shift and change into new dynamics. But I feel like there's things there that you're scared of changing. You're worried that this is what always has been, this is what's my comfort zone. I don't know, I don't want to drop that, or I don't know what's on the other side. As I said, I don't want to drop. It's not like a want, but it feels as though, like, surface level, you're saying, I have a good thing, why would I want to change it? But I think internally, you're not fully happy with all of that external. But again, it's comfort, it's family, it's that kind of vibe. Like, it's something where you've made yourself belong. But you belong in this moment. You belong in this discomfort, because I feel as though there is real potential of really bringing you into a fuller fulfillment in all areas of your life by realizing that you have evolved and changed from what was. into now what is coming and what is. Interesting. Frog Princess, heed wise counsel and listen. I do feel as though you have support around you, and I feel like you can trust in what you're really truly feeling. However, I feel like for you, externally, listening to the wisdom of others can actually make you make sense of how you're actually feeling, because I feel as though you don't trust in yourself. As I was saying, so I'm going to just restart this card because I don't know where I got up to. So Frog Princess, heed wise counsel and listen. I do feel as though for yourself, I feel as though you need to something externally to help you realize what it is internally. I do think that I'm kind of getting this vibe as though the wisdom within you is coming from a past tense, and I feel as though you're kind of confused in what you're supposed to think, what you're supposed to feel. It's kind of weird that I'm feeling that, but that's what it is. Okay, Aries. And I'm getting this sense of really, if you cannot find the wisdom that you need within you, it's because you need something from the external side. Because I do feel like sometimes hearing something that really truly resonates with us, we're like, yes, that's what I think, that's what I feel. And I feel as though really some kind of communication coming from somewhere will help you really understand something that you need to understand in order to next level, to move away from this past kind of way of viewing, of thinking, of being. So be aware of somebody who could be a real influence into helping you. It's weird because I feel like helping you get your head into the present is how it feels. So it's quite interesting how it's kind of coming through me and how I'm having to word it. Interesting. Wolf Moon, I will watch over you. So you definitely have support around you. And I feel as though, I mean, we're in February. This is the month of romance. It is ruled by Venus. So in terms of relationship, and I mean, in this beginning sense, it's there, but I feel as though your priorities are more all-rounder than really truly just relationship, which is quite interesting. I feel as though it should be a little bit more to the forefront, but it's not, because I feel like really the healing and the work for you is much more internally, and it's kind of like these things need to be addressed and it will filter out further down. However, in terms of relationship, that's what I'm getting to. I feel as though if you are interested in someone or you have a partner, that they are with you and they're watching over you, being that they will understand. However, I do feel like it's leaning on them for support. And by doing that, we be open, we be vulnerable, we be honest. And it's kind of like having a canine friend, somebody who's loyal, trustworthy, and somebody who really can be the person that you lean upon. So if you do have someone you're interested, I would say that this represents that they are trustworthy, they are loyal, and that it's a good thing. Good for you as well is what I feel here. Think of it as kind of like the whole saying where man's best friend. I do feel like as in that partner, I really truly could be a best friend for you. I do feel like there's a lot of emotional side. So the eyes on all three of these cards are very similar. There's yellows. I don't 100% remember what yellow is in terms of color therapy, of what color yellow represents. I feel as though for me it is feeling, it feels raw and vulnerable, but it feels as though really I feel as though you want to invite inclusivity into it. It's kind of strange because it feels as though wanting this kind of equality to be seen and to see. I feel as though you want this balance, which is really strange. Again, how this is channeling through me, Aries, for you is quite weird. It feels as though like you feel inadequate within this equality, as though you're the weaker link. I don't feel like this is true. It feels like this is just as in what you're feeling. And I do feel as though, again, this is saying, I'm here for you. I'll watch over you. But you have to let me in. That kind of vibe here for you, Aries. It feels quite vulnerable. Next we have the mermaid and the turtle woman. An elder will teach you. this has come up for quite a few signs this month, and I definitely feel like we have to have conversations, and I feel like there's wise people around us that can help us come to a realization. But with these specifically Aries, it's like listen to others to get your head thoughts straight. It's interesting. I do feel like feminine energy, you have the frog princess and you have the turtle woman. I feel like there could be some wisdom to get from a woman in your life. So if you are interested in females, that could be something here for you in terms of listening to the wise words of the women in your life. I mean, that can apply to anyone if you're into males as well, but I just feel as in relationship wise, I'm getting this sense of that. And it may feel as though, and this doesn't feel age as such, but it may feel as though like wisdom in terms of maturity, like maybe they feel that there's a level of an area where they are more mature than you, and this will help teach you to get to that level. I feel as though they have wisdom to support you to get to where you want to be within that level. And I think this can be, again, this is all-rounder. I feel like it's more core values that's channeling through me here, that's being questioned, being changed and shifted. And I feel as though if you are interested in women, I feel as though they can really enlighten you into a newer way of thinking or feeling or being. I don't know. I just feel this level of understanding by just listening. And I do think that you may be influenced in a very positive way to change the way of thinking, because this person enlightens you in a certain way. I feel like a good positive influence. Now, in terms of it's not being somebody that you're romantically connected with, again, this can be like feminine influences from someone wiser, maybe older, that has some wisdom because they've been through similar things to you. I just get this feminine energy. I do feel in February, feminine energy in terms of wisdom and counsel being what we all should be leaning towards. And that doesn't necessarily mean women, but I would say it feels very much like the women will be a great support during February. However, men also hold a feminine side as well, and there are some who embody that more so. So again, if you're going to seek counsel, it is somebody who is nurturing, somebody who can guide you in those kind of what we would perceive as feminine qualities. A twist in the tale, the unexpected change you did not see coming. Interesting. So when I pull this card, when I turn this card, it's so cute. She's adorable. She came out for Capricorn as well, which is actually really interesting that it came out for Capricorn. I feel like you, Aries and Capricorn, can share similar traits in terms of work ethic. So that's quite interesting. So you may have a twist in something work related that you didn't see coming. Or perhaps, again, with vulnerability and emotions, this could be something that changes for you that really makes you feel seen, or just, again, I get this sense of it making you feel like something in you is changing, and I feel like that can be quite intimidating for you. But again, this is where you belong. This discomfort needs to happen. This seems to be a bit of a theme for February as well, discomfort in order to shift into something greater than ourselves, than where we're at this moment, and something greater for ourselves. It does feel good and constructive, but it feels as though for you, again, it just might feel a little bit vulnerable for you, a little bit scary maybe. And things that scare us are great things. I feel as though anything that scares us in terms of just feeling internally like, oh my god, like I don't know if I dare do that, that is something we should be chasing, especially astrologically at the moment. Great things make us feel scared, and there's a saying that's kind of just niggling at me, something along the lines of the best things come from taking risks or something. I don't know, that's not the saying, but it's something like that. It's kind of like if you want something good, it comes by going out of the norm, making changes and shifts into something that is right for you, but normally you would probably stay away from because it scares you, because it's different, because it's not just easy. You know, the best things in life take hard work, and this is one of those feelings. My life is sweet. The fairy bee Now this is a great card to have just after all of that. It's like things might be scary, you're changing, you're shifting internally, your values might be being challenged. But on the other side of that, my life is sweet. I feel like you have good times. In terms of relationships, I feel like this is good. I feel like it's kind of comfortable and again sweet. I feel as though if you are attracting someone during this time, that there might be a bit of that honey where they add that sugar to your life, which is really cute. And again, in terms of abundance and prosperity, it could be a very good month for you, Aries. The honeybee is a hard worker as well, and I feel like actually, like the honeybee, despite being a hard worker, they're always working and they are working together to create something. However, they're really chill kind of beings. They just, they go from flower to flower and see the beautiful things in life. And in turn, they reap the rewards of their efforts of just flowing through life. And creating all of that honey, and it's continuous flow of abundance, right? This is how it's coming through me for you, Aries, is I feel like by not fighting the flow and by just being, just allowing yourself to enjoy the wonders of life, to enjoy the kind of next day and that kind of thing, rather than focusing on the past sense. I feel like being current and enjoying day to day and realizing the sweetness and the beauty in each day and in each moment can really actually bring you much more greater fulfillment in your life. There we go. The delicate fairy and her ferret. Change is natural, good, and yes, it can hurt. So it's this, again, vulnerability in her eyes. I mean, look at her face. She's like, and this is what I feel for you, Aries. I feel as though change can be quite challenging for you and make you feel resistant to it. However, it's good. But it can bring a level of grief. And when we are changing specifically our values or bringing something scary into reality, so like anything that we dream and want enough is scary, and it brings anxiety with us, and that brings a level of kind of grief. Sometimes we're grieving what was and what has been, and sometimes we're grieving on what will be, in the sense of we don't know where it's going, and that's scary, but we have to decide to take a leap into it. And so this comes with the grieving process. And I feel that that's what this is for you, just being vulnerable. Now, again, you have support here. You have your little ferret. And this ferret is all eager and excited for you to get into this next phase of your life. But I do feel like, again, leaning on that support is really good for you. And I feel like being open and real with that support will be really beneficial for you. And I do get this sense of flowing. You've got a lot of wings into this, which to me brings that level of divine support as well. But also, it's like easing into something. And we're ending with Elizabeth and the Lion. Now, for starters, I feel like these are two individuals that are complementary of each other. Both, it's like in relationship terms, I would say that your counterpart and you together really can be something that creates a bigger picture together, like strength in numbers kind of vibe with that opposition. I feel as though you complement each other because one of you, again, when one is more raw and vulnerable, the other is the strength. And I feel like actually that is this dynamic that where you are strong, that person might be a little weaker in those areas. But in the opposite way, where you are weaker, they are stronger in those areas. And I feel like that makes this union compatible. That's what the compatibility is. And I feel like it is very yin yang, very different oppositions. But again, that's what you love about each other. That's what you will like about each other. And that's the magnetism that works. Now, personally for myself, I do find that that's how I connect with people. I get along with people who are different from what I am. And I feel like it is about making connections with people that are good at things that you're not, because it's like having a community. If you're all just good at the same thing, there would be lacking in areas, but when you each bring something new to the table, you're creating a whole. And I feel like that's what I'm attracted to in what I'm attracted to, right? And I feel like this is the sense of that in this relationship. I feel like that's what this can create. Now, also this card represents, okay, so it's time to become a great leader. So it's time for you to start making decisions for yourself. Now, this card as well represents for me, I always visualize tarot cards of this being the strength card. Now, the strength card basically signifies that our weaknesses, things that we see as our weaknesses, are often our strengths, and it's realizing that our vulnerabilities really do push us to be a better version of ourselves, and actually things that we perceive as our weaknesses are often our strengths. For example, when we think that I'm going to use myself again, like sometimes I think being socially awkward is a weakness of mine, and I don't like it. I hate feeling like that. However, like I thought about this today, and I think like that's part of my charm though, and some people appreciate that about me, like they like it. It's humbling. I don't understand why, but you know, I've realized this today. It's just a thought process I had, obviously needed it for this moment. But what I see here, it's like realizing that those things that you feel you have to hide are what makes other people love you. They love you for those things, not necessarily what you think your strengths are. And actually, I kind of think it's the opposite. Like sometimes what you perceive as your strength, other people might even overlook that, in the sense that they don't see that when they see you, because the way you're seeing yourself is different to how others might perceive you. And realizing that, I think might be a good thing for you, which is kind of strange. But yeah, there it is. Again, she has wings, but again, Queen Elizabeth I does not have wings, but she always wore these kind of things that to me are representing of the wings, and it's of soaring, of flying, of getting higher. She was a force to be reckoned with, and again, it's quite weird because she was kind of somebody who typically was alone. She's known as, you know, the virginal queen and things like this. And I think this is something that is relevant for you, Aries, in some way of a vulnerability here, where again you feel it is a weakness, but it's something that you bring to the table which complements an opposition. Interesting. But yeah, I kind of went back then to a previous way of thinking. But also with this card, I feel as though it's time for you to make decisions for yourself. It's time for you to face your fears, face your weaknesses that you perceive as weaknesses, and jump right in and take a leap. It's time to become a great leader and go for what you want and what you need, and not stick in the stagnant, not stick with what feels comfortable. This is a day and age where we are chasing the bigger picture. We're not keeping ourselves small. We're not being little mice. You're being a freaking lion. Go for it. Thank you so much, Aries. Happy Valentine's Day. Please subscribe to my channel for any future updates, and also helps me out. I mean, come on. Thank you guys. I'll see you next month.